the big adventure ones, stuff where they're out for a week or so or going backcountry, then they want just about everybody to have wilderness first aid. If it's a venture crew, everyone has to have first aid, wilderness first aid, to go on stuff like cavalcade, whitewater rafting, and some of the other activities.
See, even with my RN, I take the wilderness first aid because it's really helpful. And I do a lot of summer things with kids that was not in my practice as a nurse. So the wilderness is great. They are back to 2-man CPR again.
Yay!
But if you're uncomfortable, they say you do not have to breathe for them. It's the chest compressions that are most comfortable. That's what I heard at my training this year. That is different from my training 2 years ago. So whatever. You know, I just am
lawyers.
I'm going to do what I've done that's been successful in the past. And,
when I went to work at Homeland Security, they had us take the intermediate. No, they started with the intermediate, then had us take the advanced.
Yeah.
And in the advanced class, they said that all DHS first aid kits will have several of the breathing guard things. Yeah.
See, I did my EMT before I did my nurse. So I have done the whole gamut of this. And then I do the BLS for nurses CPR. So, and that falls every other year. So like I'm getting CPR training every year. It's a lot but you can't get refreshed too much, especially when I'm not in a hospital setting anymore and I don't use it daily anymore. Thank goodness, knock on wood.
All right. Look, Lewis is trying to come up. Oh, there's his picture now. Yeah, he shows up.
Yeah.
Took you a while to show up, Lewis. You maybe have internet problems, so be ready.
His internet was pretty good. He was on with me.
Yeah. And Rudy Fern just came in on your side over there because I saw you kicked it out there.
Yeah.
One of the things that was really interesting with the wilderness first aid, the intermediate and the advanced, and then there's whole other one that encompasses a little bit of all those, and that is the Community Emergency Response Team, the CERT training.
I've done that one too.
And what's interesting, even in the advanced, they don't cover what they cover in the CERT training as far as MCI, that's mass casualty incident.
I had to take the CERT training because I was an administrator at a hospital. So I've actually done the CERT as well. And then they also made me take all the FEMA college classes that go along with hospital management CERT training.
Yeah, I think I got like 47 courses under my belt of FEMA training.
I actually went through because they're free and did them all for free. And I wish I had the money to have them transferred to college credits because then I'd have a minor in emergency management. But
and so the main thing, guys, everyone out there, the main thing of tonight, we're not giving medical advice. We're telling you, go get trained. Learn how to do it.
Everybody should know how to do CPR. Oops, we lost Lewis.
And he's coming back, trying to come back again.
Everybody, if you're babysitting, you should take a babysitting class that has CPR. So, my son, who is 16, has taken 3 classes that have given him CPR training already at age 16. He's had 3 in the last 2 years. So,
Yeah, that's because that's one of the things is like when something like this happens, no matter what it is, if you're the only one there, you are the first responder.
Exactly.
And you need to know what you're going to be doing. You don't be standing around saying, what do I do? What do I do? It's like, first of all, stop panicking. It doesn't help for you to panic. If you don't know what to do, make the phone call. And if you also if you're really good and fast on browsing the internet on this, okay, I'm not going to give you medical information here, but you can gather where I'm going on that one. It's like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh, apply pressure.
I always had a joke with my kids that I didn't want to hear about it unless the blood was spurting more than 4 inches high. Apply pressure, put a Band-Aid on, and I would deal with it when I got home. My middle son cut the tip of his finger off in a wood splitter, and when he brought it in to show me, the blood was spurting over his head.
Yeah.
He actually called my bluff on that statement. So
yeah.
If you expect sympathy, do not expect your mother who's a nurse, especially a grumpy old OR nurse, to give you any sympathy whatsoever. Operating room nurses are the worst. You are not going to get sympathy. I'm not the person to call if you want sympathy. Not going to happen.
I swear my mom and dad told us several times when we fell out of the tree or whatever. Can you move your arm? Can you move your fingers? Yeah, go back and play.
Well, unless it's a displaced fracture, it's not going to show on X-ray until it starts to calcify 24 hours later. So if you talk to my middle daughter, I'm a horrible person because I didn't take her for an X-ray until the next day, and she actually had a wedge fracture on her arm when she fell off a horse. So again, nurses do not have much sympathy for people.
Yeah. So there are different trainings, and I'm trying to remember. Dang it! Someone, she's not in the chat today, sent me a link, or told me about it. She didn't send me the link. Said that Red Cross is doing, I guess it's the basic, beginner class that was relatively cheap. Which was surprised me because when I had checked a year and a half ago, when I was thinking about taking what was the minimum required for being considered a respite caregiver for my autism grandson.
Yeah.
It was I was looking at basic. What's the basic that, and it was like 4 times what she said they're doing now.
No, because you can do it online, the class part online, and then you just go get a one-on-one instructor to come. It's really cheap, like way cheaper. And if you call your local hospital, they're usually offering classes for free. So you might want to try.
I'll have to check with the hospital, and I didn't think about checking with the hospil.
Yeah,
but I called.
They have to recertify. Our hospital recertified every year in March. So there's once a year they'll do the classes, and they have openings. They'll let you in. So you just call and ask.
Yeah.
And then they also have people that can do the in-person part. You can do it online and do the in-person part. They'll give you an instructor too, really cheap.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I need to go do. Just been dragging my feet and putting it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because even like for the CERT training, I went through, not only did I go through the CERT training, I went through the instructor training. So I was teaching all the aspects of the CERT program, and I actually helped write some of it for some of the things. So it's like, okay, I got to take the teacher class to teach what I wrote.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. It was funny because one of the instructors from the fire department that was teaching the teacher train the trainer portion, and I was in. I got this from the. She go, wait a minute, you wrote part of this. I go, yeah. Why are you in here? Because I got it.
Got to get my credential so I can teach it too.
Yeah, it was funny, but yeah. So
you froze.
Yeah, so like I said, with all the different levels you can do a lot. Now, Bruce at Backwoods Law hasn't been on lately. He's kind of he watches stuff occasionally and makes occasional comments, but he's not doing any live streams anymore, even other people's live streams. He was putting out there that check with your local fire department and your local ambulance service, because they sometimes will pay for either the EMT or the paramedic training, but you got to sign a contract to be with that ambulance service or be a volunteer with the fire department for a certain amount of time to make it worth their while to pay you for that. And
one of my cousins is getting his fire department training for that right now. Now that you say that, yeah, one of my cousins is doing that right now.
Yeah. And so, that's there's always more training you can take. You're really interested in it. Now, let's see. Mother Earth Garden Club says Red Cross Online is like $30.
Yeah. They've come down a lot because
I think it was 75 when I was checking on it a couple of years ago.
6 years ago, it was 80 because I had to take it for the job I had 6 years ago on my own.
Yeah.
But that $80 paid for an instructor to come out and do a one-on-one with me. So.
Yeah. Well, this was supposed to be a classroom of 24 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, okay, so 75 times 24. Yeah.
Well, see, you could get your instructors, and then you can do that and make that money.
Yeah.
Because only a small portion goes back to Red Cross. The instructors do make money doing the class.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to the paramedic and EMT training, because some places that have have volunteer fire departments, like we have out here in the middle of nowhere, and they're desperate to have EMTs on their fire crew to drive their EMT truck
or just to be the first responder. Because if we call for my sister-in-law to get an ambulance ride to the hospital or an ambulance ride to respite care, the first responders, 911 will also call the first responders and they come out to the house, which is a total waste of their time because we just really need EMT transport. But it's kind of, it's the protocol. Yeah. So.
Utah Mike's here. Oh, hey. He's late. He's late. He says, so nice outside. I went for a walk.
It's snowing here again, Mike.
Oh, man.
All day, on and off, all day. It rained all through the night, and then it started snowing on and off all day today. Little tiny snow. It didn't stick on the ground.
Yeah, we're at 65 here right now at almost 6:30 here, Mountain Time.
Good. You're sending it my way.
Yeah. Let's see, what else was there? EMTs. All right, so wilderness first aid. The reason why I said it's, let me throw this back up here for a second. So the wilderness, I put it here between intermediate and advanced, but it covers, it's kind of a conglomeration. One of the things it does, for those that don't know, one of the things they train for evacuation and how to stabilize somebody to evacuate them. Intermediate and advanced don't train to evacuate somebody because ambulance are coming.
Well,
that's the theory.
We take a group hiking in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
There is nobody coming. They are 4 miles either way to the next off point on that trip at any given point. There is nobody coming, and they don't have cell service. So there is literally no evacuation.
Yeah.
They have to get them stable enough to get them to the next point. Yeah. The one girl that goes as a marathon runner, she will actually run until to get cell phone service to meet them at the point down there. But
Yeah. The hazmat stuff is a totally separate training from the first aid, which is offered, for different things. When I was working construction years back, I actually went through the hazmat management training course. The company put 4 of us through it because we were working on a Superfund site.
My son just had to take something. That's not the name of it, but because he is going for his associates in welding and material, what is it called? Fabrication. He actually had to take a safety course as part of that and get a certificate.
Yeah, they're telling you that they're teaching now about the when you're welding galvanized steel is the big one, and some of the other steels and stuff, steel alloys that put off different gases when you're welding it.
This class is required if you want to do any management in material fabrication.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was offered through the community college. So all of these classes we've just talked about too are also offered through your local community college, and a lot of them are offered non-credit. They're cheap.
Yeah.
You know.
Or they're offered at a 0.1 credit.
or if you're taking them, a lot of times they're offered if you're like your colleges, if you're a senior citizen, which I haven't quite made it there, but if you're a senior citizen, the college will often offer these as free classes.
Yeah.
For continuing education for seniors. So that's another place you might look for a free class.
Yeah. Now, one thing I don't know about the rest of the country, but back in California, in Contra Costa County, they had for each of the school districts had adult education courses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those were rather cheap, or should I say inexpensive. And a lot of the time, you either had whatever it was for, you had professionals come in and teach it. And what was strange is a lot of them were instructors from the college.
Yeah.
They got bonuses from the college for going out and teaching this. So the school district wasn't paying for it. The college was paying for it as their community relations.
Yes. Yes. So that's another place you might reach out to get a class. That'd be a good idea.
But yeah, there is just so much. On Wilderness First Aid, one of the things they teach in Wilderness First Aid that they don't teach in intermediate or advanced or even EMT, I would suspect, altitude sickness. Dealing with that.
They did not teach altitude sickness in my wilderness class this year.
Because in the one, or at least the ones. All right. This may be part of it. Boy Scouts, where I took my Wilderness First Aid, that has the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Yeah, and see,
8,000 foot, 8,000 foot, 9,000 foot. Yeah,
you can't. I mean, even if you climb the top of the Mackinac Bridge, you would not be high enough to get altitude sickness here in Michigan. There's nothing high enough in Michigan to give you altitude sickness.
And you consider Wolfboro Scout Camp for the district there is at 4,500 foot elevation.
Yeah, that can do it to you.
And it's in a valley, and they hike to the top of the valley to one of the cliff faces to do the rock climbing and rappelling, and that's up another 800 feet or more higher.
Yeah. The first time I went hiking on the Appalachian Trail for a week-long hike, my sister didn't look at the altitude map, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was going to die before I got off that mountain.
Yeah,
I had altitude sickness so bad.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, I know several of the troops did, and a couple of the venture crews did. When they were going to go up into the mountains to do hiking, they did their training hikes locally. When I say locally, you got the Contra Costa Valley there, where you got Walnut Creek, Concord, Pleasant Hill, Martinez, and Concord butts up against, and Walnut Creek butts up against Mount Diablo.
Yeah.
And so Mount Diablo has trails up on it all over the places and stuff. And you go from the flatlands, or you're going up there, you're learning differences really quick in elevations.
The secret to this is honey. Always pack your own little honey jar. Believe me, it will give you enough energy to get off that mountain if you're sick. And if you can't keep anything else down, honey will keep you alive so you can get off the mountain.
Yeah. Oh. Well, just anecdotally here, back in the 60s, My dad was it wasn't called Ventures then, it was called Explorers. They changed, Boy Scouts changed the name. And my dad was the assistant advisor to it. And when they went on a hike, he goes, I ain't hiking. He drove the trailer out there and unloaded the horses for him and the other guy. And they rode horses alongside the boys, and they were packed down with a lot of for emergencies and stuff. And they actually had it stuff where they needed to, they could make a litter really quick, put it on the horse, and downhill. What is altitude sickness? Hang on. Which reminds me, I wanted to throw this up here just in case anybody wanted to see it. If you Google what has more training EMT or paramedic, you get it on it. Has the times and everything else, and a lot of the training stuff they have for that. Altitude sickness. Let's open this one here up.
For people like me who have asthma and have difficulty with our lungs, you can be really prone to this.
Yeah, and even some people that don't have that can be altitude sickness. There we go. Boom. All right, so it says altitude sickness, also known as mountain sickness, is a condition that occurs when a person ascends to a high altitude too quickly. It is caused by the body's inability to adapt to the reduced oxygen levels at higher elevations. Symptoms: headache, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, dizziness, shortness of breath, insomnia, loss of appetite, and confusion in severe cases, or if you went to UC Berkeley.
that may not, the last one may not be in there, but maybe.
Yeah. Anything with confusion, I throw it at UC Berkeley.
I had everything but confusion on that hike. And maybe I had confusion. I was really like huffing and puffing so bad I couldn't move.
All right. And then it says types. They list 3 types here. Acute mountain sickness, the mildest form characterized by headaches, nausea, and fatigue. High altitude pulmonary edema, HAPE, a life-threatening condition where fluids accumulate in the lungs. High altitude cerebral edema, life-threatening condition where fluid accumulates on the brain.
That's where the confusion would come in.
Yeah. And so
the pulmonary edema, one sign of that is pink frothy sputum too. Yeah. So just throwing that out there.
And that's the thing is the scout troops and venture crews, when they're going up there, the council wound up buying the little oxygen bottles that the troop could rent really cheap, and if they use it, then they have to pay to get it refilled. But you can bring it back. And then it's more like a deposit on it.
I should have carried one of those instead of that 20-pound camera. I was too sick to take any pictures with.
Yeah. But yeah. So So in dealing with the stuff, we can tell you a bunch of stuff here. We are not giving out medical advice. Again, we are not giving out medical advice. We are conveying some information to tell you to get out there and get your training yourself. Take that.
Just sharing my own anecdotes, not giving medical advice.
Yeah. So you get the training you need to get to deal with all this stuff. Because the wilderness first aid training we did was 2 days, 16 hours. And that was after a evening of the intermediate first aid. But to take the intermediate first aid, you had to have a basic or beginner first aid card on file with the Boy Scout Council, that district. And then you would have on Friday evening, you'd have the intermediate, tacking on to that one. And then the Saturday and Sunday, you had the wilderness first aid training.
Wilderness is now 3 days.
Now 3 days?
3 days.
Yeah. Yeah, ours was rather intense. We only had a 30-minute break.
we did a very intense one, and then the CPR part you had to do. Even though I had a current CPR card, I had to do it on their program as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, see, that was part of the day before. The CPR was a part of the day before on the intermediate. So maybe that's how they broke it up. So they, on that portion there. And if you had an intermediate in the last or advanced in the last 6 months, you didn't have to do that Friday, but you had to come bring your card so they photocopy it, add it to your file.
Yeah. We didn't get that option. We had to do the whole 3-day training and redo the CPR.
All right. Now, this is not medical advice. This is what Google says on the AI. Prevention, ascend gradually, stay hydrated, avoid alcohol and caffeine, get plenty of rest,
You froze.
Yeah, consider taking medication if susceptible to altitude sickness. This is what the AI is saying. We are not supporting or condemning that. It's just that information is out there, and you'll probably get told the same thing in the class.
And what old hikers that do a lot more hiking than what me taught me was have a squeeze bottle of honey, and you need those calories and that energy. That was that helped me since I didn't have anything else with me my first time.
I gotta look something up here. Let's see.
I will never go hiking without a squeeze honey bear of honey ever again.
Okay, when was this? All right, 1968. The International Olympics Committee screwed up big time. And they awarded Mexico City the Summer Olympics for 1968. There was a lot of altitude sickness there. I mean, it'd be like holding it here in Denver.
Yes. You got to come early. You got to get acclimated.
Yes.
That's not a fly in the day before and start heavy exercise. That would be
So the elevation for Mexico City is 7,349.
Higher than that mountain I was on.
Yeah. So I'm just flying to such and such, and it's like, oh, that's what there. And it's let me put it to bring the one. Denver, Colorado elevation is. Denver is less. Denver's called the Mile High City at 5,280.
Yeah.
And the other one was
70.
2,100 feet higher. So yeah.
Not good.
Whew. And see, snowing in Ontario. Tammy Harder's on both sides.
Oh, 2 waves, one for each side.
Yeah. So there, like I said, there are, and like Tammy said, check with your local hospital, check with your local Red Cross, and there's other agencies besides the Red Cross that offer first aid training as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there are several companies now that are, I'm not sure. I think they're getting their own certification, so they're not having to follow the up and down of Red Cross on, this is required, this is not required, this is required again. And so, check with them and see if you need it for a job, find out, is there anyone that is it in writing that I must take this specific one, or does any of these ones cover it? So, but the best the best you can do is the best you can do, and get what you can. Okay, hang on a second here.
And the one thing I learned at Wilderness Safety that I did not know in all my many 26 years of being in the medical field was to have baby aspirin in your first aid kit for prevention of heart attacks. Because now when you call 911, they may ask you if you have any baby aspirin and to take it if they suspect that you're having a heart attack. And so that is something that I've now kept in my cabinet, because that's something our family has a huge thing with. And I never learned that. I was never told that until this year in Wilderness First Aid.
Yeah. The Estes State Park is 7,500 plus feet, so it's higher than Mexico City.
Ouch.
Oh, hang on. Breckenridge is 9,728 feet.
Ooh, I'm glad I did not go there when I was offered that trip.
And that's also in Colorado.
Yeah, I'm really glad I did not go there. I'd have been so sick. I'd have never been able to go skiing. I'd have been so sick.
Uintas puts everybody to shame. The Uintas is up on the northwest corner of Utah, Montana, up in that, okay, 13,528.
Yike. That would
elevations from the lower canyons at 8,000 to 13,000. Yeah, for top Kings Peak. And that's the highest point. And that point.
You froze.
Okay. So it's the range elevations from 8,000 feet in the lower canyons to 13,528 atop of Kings Peak, and that is the highest point in Utah. Because the Uintas are a big mountain, and so it covers multiple states there. Yeah. Okay, that's more information. That's we're getting a little bit offline, but if you pass the wilderness first aid class, you probably got a lot more training than most people do. And if you take the CERT training on top of that, you learn how to do mass casualty incidents. And for those that want to know what that is, basically the TV show MASH, where they were segregating and doing triage. Right? This one needs to go in right now. This one can wait. This one does that. That's what mass casualty incident is categorizing them. So you treat.
Are they savable or not savable?
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, do you have a hangnail? You're over here. Are you savable? We'll take you. You're not savable with what we have. Sorry, you sit over here.
You go last. You go last if you're still around.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad.
Oh, all right. Do they teach you about poisonous animals? Yes. And the ones we took, they talked about them. The mountain rattler. They also talked about poison sumac, poison oak, poison ivy, and the differences. They also talked about hemlock, which grows around where we're at, and there in California.
Yep.
And they talked, a bunch of stuff like that, And
we did the ticks with Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Lyme disease, and also the one that they just hantavirus. We discussed that too, which was interesting because that was just in the news lately.
Yeah. And for any further information on this, we're just pointing these out here that they're out there. Go get special training on it.
Yep.
Got to keep the AI happy here. We are not giving medical advice other than go get more training. My
advice is take a class. That's my advice.
Mine is take 2. Call me in the morning.
Well, if you get the wilderness safety or the EMT, that's all.
Yeah, that covers it.
Either one of those will really cover everything.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, at least go get your CPR card. Everybody should have a CPR card.
Yeah.
14 years and up. You should have 12 if you're babysitting. 12 and up.
Yeah. 10 and a half if you're in the Boy Scouts.
True.
If you're in a good troop, one of the first things the new kids coming out of Cub Scouts, Webelos, with their arrow of light come in at 10 and a half. Everybody else comes in at 11. Worst thing is like, okay, we're going to, we're signing you up for a first aid class.
Yep.
And then you're going to build your own first aid kit per the Scout manual.
Yay.
Oh yeah, nightshades. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
what was interesting thing in our troop, one of the boys' grandfather worked at Berkeley as I'm trying to remember, a professor of plants.
Botanist.
So you basically going out, and he go, all right, he went out with us on the one hike. He goes, all right, here's that plant down there. Don't touch that. That's hemlock. This here is miner's lettuce. This here is this. This here. Don't touch this one here. You'll have a rash, and if you touch the wrong spot, you'll really be sorry. Poison oak.
Yeah, we have a lot of poison ivy around the camp. They try to get rid of it, but the one guy was like, I'm going to come through with all this herbicide. I'm like, no, this is where the kids play.
Yeah. So, yeah. And, so taking a course in identifying plants if you're going to be going hiking and stuff, not a bad idea. Yeah. And probably even a better idea to get the laminated little book that you, that's what that plant is. I remember.
Yeah. But things like hemlock can look a lot like Queen Anne's lace and other things. So you really need to have some hands-on learning to identify some of these plants.
Yeah.
And so, like our local community park, it's like a state park or city park. They offer classes on plant identification. So that's another good resource.
Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. Okay. And what's neat, here's what some of them look like here. They got the little trifold, not trifold, but multiple fold ones and stuff. There's some other ones. It's a Pocket Naturalist Guide. There are I put in laminated plant identification. I should have put booklet or pamphlet, PAMPHLET. Pamphlet. Yeah. So there are a bunch of different ones: trees, poisonous plants, edible plants. Yeah. So there's different ones you can get and be. And they have ones like there's the one for common in California. Yeah. So you get one for your area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're from Berkeley, then okay.
We had this conversation on a Monday night.
Yes, we did. We Monday.
See our Monday Night Live from a couple weeks ago.
On both on Camp Patton and on Rebel Canvas last night was last night was siphoning. The week before was on wild mushrooms.
Yep. Good information in that about wild mushrooms and foraging and how to preserve them and best ways to preserve them.
Yeah.
And where not to gather them, like cow patties.
Or off of black walnut.
Yes. See, you learned, you do that.
I learned that from the first night when you gave Mark a double ration the first night. The night before, on Friday or something.
No, do not eat them from there. He's like, well, I'll let my buddy decide. I'm like, no, do not eat them from there. It is no. I can tell you. I don't even have to look at it. I can tell you it will not be good if it's a black walnut.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I want to point out for the learning aspect. We're talking about stuff. We're giving anecdotal stuff. We're not giving medical advice other than go get the training. Yeah. And here's the thing that most people don't realize. I can tell you something once. You may or may not remember it. I tell you twice. It's a little bit. 3 times people start to remember. Mm-hmm. And if they see it again or hear it, read it, and then, you have like a video on it showing it, they retain it a bunch more. That's why they you have to do first aid every couple of years to keep it in your head.
And to be perfectly honest, the video is great, but hands-on is always better. Yeah. So these classes we're recommending, a lot of them have a hands-on component. I mean, I've done CPR classes over and over and over again. But until you're actually in a situation where you need to use it, that's a whole different ballpark than watching the video or a mannequin.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I've had to do CPR on real human beings, both in hospital settings and outside of hospital settings. And it's different. The mannequin prepares you, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. My first first aid class was when I was 18 years old, out of high school, at the community college, got a job with the campus police. Had to take a first aid class.
Yep. One of my first jobs was dispatcher for the campus police.
Oh, yeah. Trying to think anything else I can think of here. I think we've covered a bunch of different levels you can get. There may be more levels too out there that they keep adding. You know, companies add, well, this is going to fall. Ours falls between this one and this one, and so.
Well, getting a good kit, like I have one right here. There's just a little tiny pocket one. We didn't talk about kits, but make sure. I mean, all the knowledge in the world doesn't do you any good if you don't have any supplies. So you got to have a kit to back you up. When you go somewhere, find out where the AID is. Most public places have an AID nowadays. So make sure that does. If you're traveling to another country, they may not use the 911 system. They have different phone numbers. So if you're traveling to another country, make sure you know what the number is to call for an emergency.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I typed in "stop the bleed" training, and there were several companies doing it. And then I typed in "stop the bleed" training doom and bloom, and it brought up Doc Bones and Nurse Amy's website as the top one, and brought them up in the AI for "stop the bleed" training. They are the only one listed in here in the AI training. Other than the American College of Surgeons.
Yeah.
So
I have done "stop the bleed" training too through the Red Cross.
So Doc Bones and Nurse Amy on their website, doomandbloom.net, have videos. They do online training courses with their videos behind them and everything popping up and everything else, fun stuff like that too. So "Stop the Bleed" is probably, it's right up there in the advanced EMT training level.
Yeah. But it's the guy who taught me actually teaches all of the Michigan State Police.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons why they need it. But so that is another great one if you can find it. If you know, for that too. And
they all Doc Bones and Nurse Amy also do hands-on training classes around the country.
Nice, very nice.
So basically in Florida and New York. But it's something that you probably, I know, I now they're reading it here. Yeah, they talked about the one time they were someplace else at a big it was a big emergency preparedness symposium thing, and they were teaching it there. So, all righty, I think we covered this pretty good. Any questions in the side chat? Give them. I'll get something prepped up here, ready for this here. Boom. Bring that up and get ready for this. Waiting for anybody typing any questions. We got 16 still watching, and let me do the other thing here real quick. See where we're at here still. I'll be surprised if we're still at 1995, because I like to yank stuff away from me on a regular basis.
They just gave me 10 back that they yanked away before I made my 12K. Literally, I checked it today, and then I had to refresh my page to do something else, and I looked and the number had changed by 10. I'm like, and none of my videos had any added subs for the day. It was just Oh, wait, these people have stuck with you, so we have to give them back.
Yeah.
They play games. I hate that.
Yep. All right. So coming up here. I want to Danny spent the night last night.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning, when he finally woke up, and I started on the Gazelle, and then I went to the treadmill, and he started the treadmill with the Gazelle, and went back and forth and stuff. And all of a sudden, it's like 10 o'clock. Oh, that's 12 o'clock Eastern. And by then you just
not. I didn't stay on very long because I had other stuff I needed to get done, but I said I was going to. So by golly, I kept my word.
Yeah. All right. So coming up here,
kind enough to come up and help me for a little bit too.
Yeah. Thursday is the midnight ride at 10 p.m. Eastern. Friday on Camp Patton Family Compound is Start Your Seedlings. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. Survival what?
I said if it ever stops snowing.
Yeah. Survival Saturday here on Gray Man Prepping is after the supply chain fails, what are your plans? Monday on Camp Patton Family Compound is processing peppers. So we're going to talk more than just canning. It's going to be canning, freeze drying, dehydrating, whatever. Yeah. And next Tuesday here is how do you do land navigation?
Oh, okay.
I.e., oh no, my cell phone, the GPS app's not working. What do I do? I love poking fun at GPS. I've yet to find one that works right all the time.
I just had to go to a friend's house, and I have not been to that friend's house in 12 years. It's not far from here, but I had to pick up something, and I knew where it was, but I trusted the GPS, and it did not take me there. And then I had to call him. I'm like, I know I'm like within a couple miles of your house. I know I'm in the exact kind of right area. He's like, oh yeah, the GPS never gives you here. And I knew when I drove by the driveway, but I wasn't 100% sure because his driveway is down a seasonal road and then a driveway. But those things don't work.
Yeah. So that's what's coming up here. And those that want to get prepared for how to do land navigation, the Boy Scout Service Project on their website has the workbook and pamphlet for the orienteering course, which is land navigation. And if you've been to the Marines, get out your old book. Or Army, get out your own book. Navy, nah, you don't do land navigation. You do sea navigation. So get out your sextant.
Get out the stars.
Oh, yeah. Google Maps for, probably... All right, when we first bought the house, when I retired in 2018, I came up here and I had something shipped here, and they kept on trying to deliver it 4 blocks away on the other side of the street. And then I noticed Google Maps decided to rename the street, not what the name of the street is, but name of the cross street down here. They said, the street comes up and it turns. No, that street, it dead ends there when it intersects this one. And this is a totally different one. And Google Maps still puts it out. I reported it about 8 times. They still say, oh, no, it goes this. No, it doesn't. That is a totally different street. Anyways, GPS, Google Maps, some of the Navstar and some of the other ones, don't trust them. Learn how to do land navigation, especially if the power goes out and it's it ain't gonna work. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming in. And just remind you, as you can see going across there, we're still at 1,995 subs. Just 5 away from the 2,000 mark. And so remember, stay happy no matter what life throws at you. Stay safe. Don't go out and do anything foolish. Keep adding to your preps: water, food, medicine, clothing. Learn a new skill like CPR, advanced CPR, first aid. Yeah. learn something. Yeah, take a class. And try growing something indoors. Oh, by the way, I now have 18 Mountain Princess tomatoes that are about that tall.
Ooh, nice. Very nice.
All right, folks. See you around.
Bye-bye.